Hey guys, what's going on? And welcome back to the channel and our college football March Madness series. We are back for the Sweet 16 and the Elite 8 games. Starting off today, we got a good matchup. We got the top seeded Alabama Crimson Tide taking on the Western Kentucky Hilltoppers, followed up by some other very good games including Georgia, Oregon, Miami, Ohio State, Michigan State, Baylor. Interesting one between two higher seeds in Kent State and Auburn. This should be a very exciting episode as you will see both of these rounds taking place today and see which teams will make the Final Four. The first game will be the number 1 seed Alabama Crimson Tide taking on the 12 seeded Western Kentucky Hilltoppers. Western Kentucky was one of those first 4 teams where they have had to play 3 games already, including wins over Louisville, Wake Forest, and Oklahoma, to get here to play Alabama in the Sweet 16. Is this where their Cinderella story ends, or will they be moving on after knocking off the number 1 overall seed? Or will Alabama's reign continue on to the Elite 8? Let's find out. For the Sweet 16 and Elite 8 in this region, these 3 games will be played at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. This should be a very interesting game as Alabama outmatches them by a lot in overall, but Western Kentucky has found a way to win in every game so far. Can this continue on, or will this finally be the end for the Hilltoppers? Alabama wins the toss. They will choose to kick. Bailey Zappi and company will be on the field first. Alabama had a quick 7 points, and then another touchdown going up 14-0, and then another going up 21-0. Western Kentucky strikes late in the second, and they cut this lead down to 14, 21-7 at the end of 1. Alabama scores again, going up 28-10, make it 35-10. And wow, a lot of scoring for Alabama, up 41-10 at the half. Can Western Kentucky have a massive second half to come back and win this game, or is it all over for them? Just 1 touchdown scored in that third quarter. Alabama extends the lead 48-10. They will be moving on to the Elite 8. 55-10, 62-10, 62-17. And that is your final, 62-17, Alabama with a dominating win to be the first team in the Elite 8. Something I haven't been doing, which I want to do for these last couple videos for this series, is look at the players of the game at least. Brian Robinson Jr., 15 for 172 and 3 touchdowns. A very good game from him. And Will Anderson Jr., 11 tackles, 4 TFLs, and 3 sacks for him. Bailey Zappi, which doesn't look like Bailey Zappi at all, 27 of 49, 395, 5 carries, 21 yards, and just 1 touchdown for him. And their right outside linebacker, Will Ignont, 10 tackles, a TFL, a sack, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery. A very good game for him as well. But Alabama, too strong for the Hilltoppers. They will move on. Another odd matchup we have here is the 2nd-seeded Ole Miss Rebels taking on the 14th-seeded Tulsa Golden Hurricanes. Tulsa had to knock off Oklahoma State and San Diego State to get their spot in the Sweet 16, now taking on the 2nd-seeded Ole Miss Rebels. Will they be able to upset one more team to move on to the Elite 8, or will Lane Kiffin and his Rebels move on to take on fellow SEC foe Alabama in the Elite 8? When it comes to the overalls of these two teams, very close actually. Ole Miss just 3 overall better. Will they be able to move on to take on Alabama, or will Tulsa upset one more team to move on? Ole Miss starting with the ball there, forced to punt early, but they put up 7 first. After the first quarter, Ole Miss leading 7-0 over the Golden Hurricanes. Ole Miss puts up another touchdown, going up 14-0. And a late touchdown from Tulsa makes it 14-7 going into the half. Can Tulsa come back from being down 14 to win this game? A lot of scoring happens that quarter. Ole Miss with a quick score and then another quick touchdown going up 28-7, followed by 2 Tulsa touchdowns, cutting the lead 28-21, and then another Ole Miss touchdown late in the quarter going up 35-21. Tulsa will have the football to start the 4th quarter. And Tulsa on the next drive gets in the end zone, cutting the lead to 7, 35-28. Ole Miss on the following drive gets the touchdown of their own, going up 42-28. A late touchdown by Tulsa. However, just 1 timeout left. They don't get the onside kick. Ole Miss will win this game 42-35 to move on to the Elite Eight. For the players of the game, Jerion Ealy for Ole Miss, 20 carries for 88 yards and 2 touchdowns. To go with that, 3 receptions for 58 yards and another receiving touchdown. Sam Williams, their right end, 6 tackles, 2 TFLs, a forced fumble and a fumble recovery. For Tulsa, Davis Brin, their quarterback, 25 of 51, 335 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 30 yards on the ground. Trayvon Reeves, their outside linebacker, with 5 tackles and an interception. Ole Miss holds on and will move on to play Alabama in the Elite Eight. Going on to the next region, playing at AT&T Stadium, might be the biggest matchup of the day. The top-seeded Georgia Bulldogs taking on the 4th-seeded Oregon Ducks. This should be a very exciting game. Just a couple weeks ago in real life, Georgia coming off of their championship game win over Alabama. But will they be able to win the championship as well in NCAA 14 in a March Madness style bracket? This will be a huge step here as they take on the 4-seeded Ducks. Oregon wins the toss. They will choose to kick. Georgia will be on the field first with their offense. Georgia gets on the scoreboard first, going up 3-0. That's all the scoring that happens in the first quarter as Oregon was driving. However, an interception in the red zone. It's Georgia football to start the second quarter. Georgia scored a touchdown going up 10-0. Then Oregon puts up 2 straight to go up 14-10 at the half. We should be in for an exciting finish. Who will be the next team to move on to the Elite Eight? Georgia's offense is struggling since the first quarter. It is 14-10 at the end of the third as nobody scored in the third quarter. Georgia scores a touchdown, taking the lead 17-14 with just 5.5 minutes to go. Oregon needed a stop badly. They bend but don't break. They allow 3, and with 1:42 left on their own 25, Oregon has a chance to go down and win this game with a touchdown. And here we go. 1st and 10 from their own 25. No timeouts. Anthony Brown in the pistol. Back to pass. A short pass to Verdell. Goes nowhere. It's a loss of 2. They're going to have to hurry up with the clock ticking. They're just going to spike this ball. It's going to be 3rd and 12. 3rd and 12. Massive play. They are 50% on 3rd downs tonight. Georgia's defense looking to get a huge stop here. Back to pass. Has a man wide open. Gets ahead for 9. However, it is 4th and 3. And this is the game here. Can the Ducks extend their drive? In the pistol is Brown. Motioning a tight end to the right. Clock is ticking. And it's going to be a handoff. Cuts it inside. Verdell's ahead for the first down with a massive stiff arm. 1st and 10 for the Ducks. They hurry up. The clock stops to set the chains. Anthony Brown in the pistol set. Back to pass. Georgia sends 4. Fires it down the field and it's caught. Micah Pittman ahead for 25. They let a few seconds run off the clock, but they get the spike down. It's going to be 2nd and 10 with 51 seconds left. 51 seconds on their 30. And a quick screen, and it's picked up by Georgia. He's going to take this all the way. What a dumb play by Oregon. Georgia seals it with a pick 6, and that is Oregon's 6th turnover of the game. Wow, they were driving down the field in a mere speed. The Michigan State transfer, in real life now I should say, with the pick 6 to win this game for Georgia. They will be moving on to the Elite Eight. And wow, Oregon had a chance, but they can't finish the drive with points. The pick 6 for Georgia ends the game. Georgia will move on after a 26-14 win. The players of the game, JT Daniels for Georgia, 21 of 33, 277, 2 touchdowns, and 43 yards on the ground. Nakobe Dean, 13 tackles, 1 TFL, 2 forced fumbles, and 2 fumble recoveries. He was huge today. Another note, Amir Speed, the pick 6, sealed the game. He could have very well been up there as well. For Oregon, Anthony Brown, 25 of 40, 264 yards. 21 yards on the ground, and 2 total touchdowns. Mikael Wright, their corner, forced fumble and an interception for them. And this one just came down to 6 turnovers from Oregon. It's not likely that you're going to win a game when you have 6 turnovers. Georgia moves on, will play in the Elite Eight. Our next game is the 2nd seeded Ohio State Buckeyes taking on the 11th seed Miami Hurricanes. Miami has been playing very good in this tournament. Ohio State had a scary game last time with SMU. Can they handle the Hurricanes and move on, or will they crumble? Will we have our second 1 seed versus 2 seed in the Elite Eight? Or will an 11th seed be the highest seed to move on to the Elite Eight so far? Ohio State wins a toss. They will kick. Miami will start with the ball. Ohio State strikes first, getting 7. And another 7 for them, going up 14-0 going into the second quarter. Ohio State gets another touchdown, going up 21-7 after the Miami touchdown. Make it 28-7 at the half in favor of the 2nd seeded Buckeyes. Another quick score for Ohio State. And another one following Miami's touchdown. 42-14 heading into the fourth quarter. It looks like Ohio State will cruise to the Elite Eight with the matchup with Georgia. Ohio State gets 3 and then a touchdown. And then Miami finishes the game with a touchdown of their own. 52-21. Ohio State will move on to play the number 1 seeded Georgia Bulldogs. Travion Henderson for Ohio State, 24 carries, 150 yards, and 3 touchdowns, and 6 receptions, 65 yards to go along with that. Cody Simon, their middle linebacker, with 9 tackles, a tackle for loss, and an interception. For Miami, their running back Cameron Harris, 11 for 47 and 2 touchdowns. And Wayman Steed, their right outside linebacker, with 10 tackles and a tackle for loss. That game wraps up that left side of the Sweet 16. We're now moving on to the right side with the surprise of the tournament so far, probably. The 16 seed Kent State Golden Flashes have won not just 1, but 2 games to move on to the Sweet 16. They will be taking on the 12 seeded Auburn Tigers at the Rose Bowl for this region. And either way, we will have a double seeded team moving on to the Elite Eight. But will it be the Auburn Tigers or will it be the 16 seed Kent State Golden Flashes? Probably the best stadium in college football. Pasadena, the Rose Bowl. And we have a huge matchup here. Can the SEC get their 4th team in the Elite Eight? Or will the MAC surprise everyone and get a team in there with Kent State? Auburn strikes first with a field goal. And then another field goal, making it 6-0 going into the second quarter in favor of the Tigers. Kent State takes the lead, going up 7-6, make it 14-13. And now 28-13 going into the half. A huge second quarter, 4 touchdowns for Kent State. They lead the Tigers at the half. Auburn gets a field goal, making it 28-16, but then 31-16 after a Kent State field goal. Kent State on 4th down now on the 8-yard line. It looks like another field goal coming for them. They hit the field goal, extending their lead 34-16. And on the very next play, Bo Nix throws an interception. Kent State with the ball on Auburn's 32, a chance to extend this lead. And Kent State forced to kick another field goal. However, a 29-yarder is missed. Auburn football. They need a lot to happen here in this fourth quarter. Kent State misses another field goal here. Auburn with the ball once more. Big touchdown for Auburn, cutting the lead to 10. They desperately need a stop here. They get a stop, but will they be able to do anything with it? A touchdown from Auburn, cutting the lead to just 3. They need one more stop here for a chance to get the ball back and try to tie or win this game late. Auburn with all 3 timeouts. I'm assuming this will be 3 runs from Kent State. Motion a tight end over. Back to pass action on the first play. He has a man across the middle of the field. Gets ahead for 8. It's going to be 2nd and 2. Auburn calls their first timeout. I expect this to be a run up the middle. It's a draw. Trying to get to the outside. And Auburn takes him down for a loss. 3rd and 4. Another timeout. It comes down to this play. 3rd and 4. Can they get one more stop? Back to pass. He's going to roll out to the right. And he's going to be sacked. Dustin Crum is sacked. Another timeout from Auburn. They will get the ball back here late Down 3. Bo Nix, the now Oregon transfer, in the shotgun. Back to pass. They send just 3. He has all day to throw. He throws it deep. And it's picked off. And it looks like Kent State's going to win this game. Wow. Auburn with their 4th turnover of the day. I don't think they can get the ball back, but we're going to watch this to see if they can. It's a read option. Crum keeps it and takes a massive hit. 4-yard run for Dustin Crum. 3rd and 6. And no, they're going to run this play here and it's game over. Kent State will move on once more. Run up the middle. He gets the first. That's the game. Kent State, the 16 seed, beats the 12-seeded Auburn Tigers and will move on to the Elite 8. Talk about a Cinderella story. Kent State is moving on again. For Auburn, Bo Nix, 22 of 43, 352 yards, 3 touchdowns, and 53 yards on the ground. Chandler Wooten, their outside linebacker, 7 tackles, 2 TFLs, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery. Dante Cephas, their wide receiver, 6 receptions, 139 yards, 2 touchdowns. And Keyshawn Gamble, 4 tackles, a tackle for a loss, and 2 interceptions for him. Honestly, can't believe it. I was surprised when they beat Michigan. Surprised again when they won again. But here they are with their 3rd straight win. 16 seed Kent State is moving on to the Elite 8. And which of these 2 schools will be playing them? Will it be the 2nd seeded Baylor Bears or the 3rd seeded Michigan State Spartans? I'm hoping it's Michigan State, but Baylor is a very good team. Both these teams are very close in overall. Michigan State just slightly better. Their offense is a key thing in that, as I believe it was 5 overall higher than Baylor's. But here we go. 3-seeded Michigan State, 2-seed Baylor, who move on to play Kent State in the Elite 8. Baylor wins the toss. They're going to choose to kick. Peyton Thorne and company will start with the ball. And at the end of the first quarter, no team scoring. It is 0-0. Michigan State will have the ball to start the second quarter. Michigan State gets on the board first with 3. Baylor responds with a touchdown, and then Michigan State with a touchdown of their own, going up 10-7. However, Baylor scores late, going up 14-10. And Baylor will start with the ball with the lead in the second half. Baylor gets 3, going up 7. Michigan State ties it with a touchdown. And going into the fourth quarter, we have a tie ball game, 17-17. Who will move on to play Kent State? A fumble recovered by Michigan State with very good field position here. Can the Spartans take advantage of this and put points on the board? They do just that. Kenneth Walker touchdown, going up 24-17 with just 4.5 minutes to go. Baylor can't score there. They're forced to punt. They need to get a stop here to get the ball back and have a chance to tie it late. Both teams have all 3 timeouts. And I'm assuming Michigan State is going to have to rely heavy on Kenneth Walker. However, they drop back to pass on the first play. Thorne going deep, and it's essentially thrown away. Out of bounds. Baylor holds on to an extra timeout because of that. 2nd and 10 for the Spartans. And this one will be a carry for Kenneth Walker. Gets ahead for just 3. 3rd and 7. Baylor will not use a timeout yet. Kenneth Walker, 32 carries, 117, and 2 touchdowns on the day. And they finally snap it. Peyton Thorne back to pass. Looking to the outside. And he's out of bounds. 2 minutes left for Baylor. Down by 7 with 2 timeouts. They have a real chance to tie this game up late. And if you're smart, you have to attack Michigan State's weak secondary. In the power I. They motion a man out. Back to pass. Short drop back, and he is hit right away. And Bohannon is hurt, their starting quarterback. That is not good for Baylor, as the backup will be in now. In the shotgun. Receivers on both sides. Back to pass. Throws a short one. He has a man for 5 yards. 3rd and 5 for Baylor. An absolute massive play. Blake Shapen is a new quarterback in there. 3 receivers to his right. Back to pass. Michigan State sends 4. Has a man across the middle on a slant. And he gets across the 50. He's going to get back up. RJ Sneed's now called down after a 17-yard reception. A minute and a half remains in this game. Baylor needs to get a touchdown here late. Back to pass. It's a screen. And he's got a lot of space. A missed block there. Would have been a lot more yards, but still gets ahead for 6. A minute 15 left. 2nd and 4. Chapin is going to be under center. Back to pass. It's a short drag. Josh Fleeks gets ahead for the first. Chapin comes in as a perfect 4-4. 5 wide here for him. Back to pass. Michigan State sends 4. And he's just going to take off. He gets ahead for 6. Timeout Baylor. They have 1 left. Bohannon will be out for the rest of the game. It will be the backup Chapin for the rest. Back to pass. He's going to run again. Bounces off of 1. Gets tackled. And that will be considered a sack for Drew Jordan. Clock is running. They're going to hurry back to the line. 3rd and 5. Back to pass for Chapin. Got a lot of time. He lost one over to the outside and thrown away essentially his first incompletion of the day. 32 seconds left. 4th and 5. This is for the game. Can they extend it? Blake Chapin in the shotgun. 3 receivers to his left. And they're going to hand it off in a lot of space. He gets ahead for the first down after trucking over Xavier Henderson. Huge first down for Baylor. 26 seconds left. They're going to hurry back to the line. Back to pass. Michigan State sends a blitz. Throwing it to the outside. A short reception for Estrada. They're letting this clock tick. Not going to use a timeout. They're going to spike the ball here with just 12 seconds left. 3rd and 9 for Baylor. 5 wide for Chapin. 3 receivers to his right, 2 to his left. What is the call for Baylor? Back to pass. Michigan State sends 4. It's a short one across the middle. Knocked away. 4th and 9 with just 9 seconds left. This very well could be the last play of the game. 2 receivers to his left. 2 to his right, and the halfback to his right. Back to pass is Chapin. Under pressure, and he's sacked. And that's going to be the game. Michigan State is going to move on to the Elite 8 to play Kent State. And a great finish. Michigan State will move on behind a big day from Kenneth Walker. Bohannon for Baylor got knocked out of the game late, but 22 of 39 for him, 256, 2 touchdowns. Maybe a different ending to this game if he does not get hurt. However, Chapin played pretty well. Had 1 bad pass, but Terrell Bernard, 9 tackles, 3 TFLs, and interception for him. For Michigan State, Kenneth Walker III, 32 carries, 117 yards, and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Jalen Hunt, 8 tackles, 4 tackles for loss, 2 sacks, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery. He is always very good in sim, it seems, for Michigan State. And we have just 2 games left here in the Sweet 16. Our next one will be the 5th seeded Houston Cougars taking on the 9th seed Iowa State Cyclones. Iowa State coming off a big win over the number 1 seed Cincinnati Bearcats, and Houston coming off of a win versus 4 seeded BYU. This should be an interesting game, as I think Iowa State has a very good chance at moving on here to the Elite 8. These next few games being played at State Farm Bank, the place of the Fiesta Bowl. And can Iowa State knock off another very good team in Houston to move on to the Elite 8? Or will the Cougars move on to face the winner of Notre Dame and East Carolina? Houston wins a toss. They will kick. Iowa State will start with the ball first. Houston scores first with 7. Iowa State responds right away. And going into the second quarter, we're tied at 7 as Iowa State has the ball and are moving. Iowa State scores a touchdown going up 14-7. Houston responds with a touchdown of their own, tying it at 14. And Iowa State with a late touchdown at the end of the second quarter, going up 21-14 at the half. Iowa State extends their lead to 10 and now 13 as they get 2 field goals in the third quarter. Can Iowa State finish this game and move on to the Elite 8? Iowa State goes down and gets another touchdown, extending their lead to 20, and it looks like they may be moving on. Iowa State with another touchdown. That's going to be the game. They will move on to the Elite 8 and take on the winner of Notre Dame in East Carolina. A very odd matchup for our next game, as it is the 2nd seed Notre Dame Fighting Irish taking on the 14 seed East Carolina Pirates. Another double-digit seed moving on to the Sweet 16. Will we have just our 2nd double-digit seed moving on to the Elite 8? Can the East Carolina Pirates knock off the Notre Dame Fighting Irish? I feel like Notre Dame can be a sleeper team to win this all. They've had some close games, I guess, in their first two matchups, but nothing really too worrisome for them. And East Carolina is coming off of two close games. The first one versus Pitt, a 5-point win, and then a 3-point win over Arkansas. Can they win another close one versus the Fighting Irish? Or will Marcus Freeman and his Fighting Irish move on to play Iowa State in the Elite Eight? Notre Dame wins the toss. They're going to choose to kick. East Carolina will start with the ball. East Carolina strikes first with a touchdown, going up 7-0. And it is 7-0 at the end of the first. It's Notre Dame football. Notre Dame scores a touchdown, tying it at 7. Then another touchdown and another, going up 21-7 at the half. A big second quarter for the Irish, going up 2 scores. A quick score for Notre Dame to start the third quarter. And another score there, 35-14 after an East Carolina touchdown. And it is a 3-touchdown lead for Notre Dame going into the fourth quarter. Another touchdown by Notre Dame, extending the lead to 42-14. This looks like it's going to be over, as Notre Dame should move on to play Iowa State. East Carolina gets a score. Might be a little too late, as 42-21. Notre Dame's going to win this game. Notre Dame puts up a field goal late, making it 45-21 for the final, as they will move on to play the 9th-seeded Iowa State Cyclones. Alabama defeats Western Kentucky to move on to the Elite Eight to play other SEC opponent, Ole Miss. Ole Miss coming off of a close win versus Tulsa. Those two will play in the Elite Eight. Georgia beats Oregon in a very close game to play the 2nd-seeded Ohio State Buckeyes. Kent State, another surprise win over 12th-seed Auburn, will play Michigan State in the Elite Eight at the Rose Bowl. And then our final game, Iowa State moves on after beating Houston to play Notre Dame after a dominating win. For the rest of this video, we're going to be going through our Elite Eight games and see who will be making the Final Four. We're going to be starting in reverse order, starting with this Iowa State game, then moving on to the Kent State, Michigan State, then Alabama, Ole Miss, and then finishing it off with, I believe, is the game of the Elite Eight. Number 1 Georgia taking on number 2 Ohio State. Which 4 teams will win their region and move on to the Final Four? So starting us off for this one, the 2nd-seeded Notre Dame Fighting Irish taking on the 9th-seeded Iowa State Cyclones. Very close in overall these two are. Iowa State slightly outmatched them, and as I said before, these are based off preseason. Iowa State was supposed to be very good coming into the year. Didn't have a great year, but here we are, 93 overall to 90 overall. Which team will win this region and move on to the Final Four? Something to note here is that these will be the final games that will be simulating any of them, as we will be watching the Final Four games and the National Championship in their entirety in their own individual videos. And here we are, the first Elite Eight game, the 2nd-seeded Notre Dame Fighting Irish taking on the 9th-seeded Iowa State Cyclones. Who will be the first team in the Final Four? Iowa State wins a toss and will defer to the second half. Notre Dame will start with the ball. Notre Dame with a quick touchdown, responded quickly by Iowa State, 7-7 early, and 14-7 as Notre Dame gets in the end zone again, making it a 7-point game going into the second quarter. Iowa State gets 3, making it 14-10. An Iowa State touchdown late, making it 17-14. They lead the 2nd-seeded Irish going into halftime. Another touchdown for Iowa State, extending their lead to 10. Notre Dame responds with a touchdown of their own, cutting the lead to 3, 24-21, heading into the fourth quarter. And Notre Dame scores a touchdown, making it 28-24 early in the fourth. And Iowa State gets a big touchdown there, taking the lead 31-28 over the Irish. We're going to hop in and watch the rest of this game. Notre Dame ball. Have a lot of time, both teams with all their timeouts. This is going to be a pitch out to, I believe, Kyron Williams. He's going to get ahead for a few and push out of bounds after 3. That's actually Logan Diggs, his 19th carry for only 29 yards. Another give up the middle for Notre Dame. He's got a little bit of space this time, gets ahead for 12. Averaging just 2 yards a carry, not very good from him. In the shotgun now is Jack Cohn. It's going to be an option. Doesn't have time to pitch it, and he's going to be tackled down for a loss. Cohn playing fairly well today. 5 wide, 4 receivers to the right, and just 1 to his left. Back to pass. It's a wide receiver screen and going absolutely nowhere. 4th and 9. Notre Dame will punt it here as Iowa State will come after this ball. Nearly blocked by Iowa State. Caught at around the 15. He gets up to around the 22. Notre Dame needs to get a stop and make sure to use all their timeouts to get the ball back with some time here, with a chance to either tie or take the lead late. And it's going to be an option, and he's taken down for a loss of 4. Timeout Notre Dame. It's 2nd and 14. Purdy in the shotgun again with 3 receivers to his right. Back to pass. And he's going to be sacked. Brock Purdy sacked for a loss of 8. 3rd and 22. Notre Dame used another timeout. And an absolutely massive play here. Back to pass. Has a man open. He's taken down well short of the line of gain. Notre Dame used their last timeout, and with just under 2 minutes to go, Notre Dame will get this ball back. Good punt there. Has some space to return. He's going to get up past the 50. Lorenzo Styles with a good return. And Notre Dame has good field position to start this drive. However, no timeouts for them. Cone starting off under center. Back to pass. Throws it deep. He has a man open and just overthrows him. It's going to be 2nd and 10. And the shotgun now this time is Cone. Back to pass. Throwing it deep again. He's got a man wide open. Touchdown Notre Dame. Braden Lindsey, 49 yards for the score. And Notre Dame takes the lead late. A bust in the coverage left them wide open. And a huge score for the Irish. Extra point coming for Notre Dame. It's up. It's good. They take a 4-point lead. Iowa State kneeled the ball on the kickoff. They get the ball at the 25. All 3 timeouts for them, but they need a touchdown. Brock Purdy back to pass. It's going to be a screen, and it's just not there. 2nd and 10. Huge play here for Iowa State. Back to pass. He's got some time. Throws it out, and it's picked off by Notre Dame. Huge play there for the Irish. They pick it off, but Iowa State still has all 3 timeouts to work with here. It's going to be a handoff to the left side. He's got good yards. Diggs is ahead for 7. Timeout for Iowa State. Snapping it, handing it off up the middle. This time taken down after maybe 1. Timeout number 2 for Iowa State taken. 1:08 remains. 3rd and 3. This is for the game. Another handoff. No, Cone keeps it. And a huge first down. He gets down. The final timeout taken for Iowa State. But that is it. Notre Dame will hold on to win this game 35-31. Great play call there from the Irish to finish it. And Notre Dame will be the first team moving on to the Final Four. And that will do it here. Notre Dame wins it 35-31. Our next game will be the 3rd seeded Michigan State Spartans taking on the 16 seed Kent State Golden Flashes. The surprise of the tournament so far. And they are definitely the Cinderella story of this tournament. And Kent State with big upset wins over Auburn, Michigan, and Mississippi State. Can they beat the other Michigan team here to move on to the Final Four and take on Notre Dame? Or will the Spartans stop this run and move on to play the Irish in the Final Four? Michigan State heavily outmatches Kent State. However, pretty much every team they have played so far have done so. And they have played very well to be in this spot today. Can they upset one more team to be the second team to advance to the Final Four? Michigan State wins the toss. They will choose the kick. And Kent State will start with the ball here. Kent State gets 3 early. Michigan State responds with a touchdown. And then another touchdown going up 14-3 heading into the second quarter. Michigan State with another touchdown and another touchdown going up 28-10. Make it 35-10. As Kent State also scored a touchdown, but the Spartans are dominating here early. Michigan State will start with the ball in the second half. Kent State gets a field goal, but Michigan State puts up another touchdown and another touchdown in the third quarter. 49-13, the Spartans lead over the 16-seeded Golden Flashes, and it looks like their Cinderella story will be coming to an end today. Touchdown for Kent State, but another one for Michigan State. Another one for Kent State. Another one for Michigan State. And just a dominating win for Michigan State here in the Elite Eight. 63-27. They will move on to play Notre Dame in the Final Four. Peyton Thorne went 24 of 36, 356 yards, 5 touchdowns, and 19 yards on the ground. Drew Beasley with 3 tackles, a TFL, a sack, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery. For Kent State, Dustin Crum, 31 of 48, 426 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 35 yards on the ground. And Dean Clark for Kent State with 12 tackles. And it's sad to see the Cinderella story finally end there, as the 16 seed finally loses. But I mean, when it comes to the NCAA tournament, it normally happens. They sometimes get to the Sweet 16 Elite 8 and rarely the Final Four, but eventually they come to an end. And honestly, it does look a little bit odd that Michigan State is here. That's not intentional. I know I'm a Michigan State fan, but you can see that I'm simming these games through. And it's just how the cookie crumbles, I guess. As the next game will be the top-seeded Alabama Crimson Tide taking on the second-seeded Ole Miss Rebels. Nick Saban versus Lane Kiffin. Can Lane Kiffin be just the third Nick Saban assistant to beat him? Or will Alabama cruise to the Final Four to take on either Ohio State or Georgia? The Tide outmatches the Rebels, as they have pretty much everybody they have faced so far. Can Ole Miss win this game and surprise the world to move on to the Final Four? Ole Miss wins the toss. They will choose to kick it. Alabama will start with the ball here. Ole Miss strikes first with a touchdown. Bama responds with a touchdown of their own. And at the end of the first, we are tied at 7-7, as it looks like Alabama is closing in on another score here. Alabama kicks a field goal, going up 10-7 here in the second quarter. Ole Miss responds with a touchdown, going up 14-10. Bama responds with another one, going up 17-14. A lot happened in that second quarter. At the end of the second, it is 24-21 as Ole Miss missed a 56-yard field goal to tie it going into halftime. Bama leads. Ole Miss will start with the ball to start the second half. Ole Miss takes the lead, but Bama takes the lead right back and puts up another score, going up 38-28 going into the fourth. Alabama looks to be threatening again to start this fourth quarter. Alabama extends the lead out to 45-28. Ole Miss needs a big fourth quarter to win this game. Alabama scores again, and that just might do it as they lead 52-28. Field goal for Alabama there with just 47 seconds left. Ole Miss's offense could not get going here in this game. Alabama will be moving on to the Final Four. 55-28 is your final. Alabama will be the third team to advance to the Final Four. And now what I have labeled as our game of the video, probably the number 1 seeded Georgia Bulldogs taking on the 2nd seeded Ohio State Buckeyes. Evened up on overall at 93. Ohio State's offense is better at 99-90, but Georgia's defense 95-88. The top offense versus the top defense, which will prevail here? Normally when you think about this, people say defense wins championships, and that's normally true, as I think Georgia will win this game. But who will be taking the final spot in the Final Four and taking on the Alabama Crimson Tide at Lucas Oil Stadium? Our final game of the video, Bulldogs versus Buckeyes, playing at AT&T Stadium in Dallas. Who will move on to play the Crimson Tide in the Final Four? Ohio State wins the toss. They will elect to kick. Georgia will start with this football. Ohio State scores first with a touchdown, and then another touchdown, going up 14-0. 14-0 at the end of the first. But a big thing to note here, Georgia fumbled on that opening drive, giving Ohio State very good field position to score that first touchdown. They now trail 14-0 going into the second quarter. A huge second quarter for Georgia as they go down, score a touchdown, cutting the lead to 14-7. Then a field goal, making it 14-10, followed by 2 more touchdowns, taking the lead 24-14 at the half, as their defense played very well in that second quarter. Ohio State with a quick touchdown here, but Georgia responds with a touchdown of their own, 31-21 in favor of the Dogs, heading into the fourth quarter. However, Ohio State looks to be driving here to start the fourth. Touchdown for Ohio State. They missed the extra point, So it is not a 3-point game. However, 31-27, Georgia with the ball now. Georgia is forced to punt. Ohio State with the football now. Ohio State goes down, gets a touchdown. They take the lead 34-31. And now Georgia responds with a touchdown of their own, 38-34. We're going to watch the rest of this game. Who will be the final team advancing to the Final Four? Ohio State with the ball. On their own 25. Stroud in the pistol. Both teams with all 3 timeouts. Back to pass to CJ Stroud. Going to the outside, he has a wide open receiver. That's Chris Olave. Gets ahead for 6. 2nd and 4 for the Buckeyes. Stroud in the pistol once again. It's going to be a straight give to Henderson. He's going to be stopped after just a yard. 3rd and 3 for Ohio State. Henderson with 161 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns versus stout Georgia defense. Huge 3rd down. Back to pass to Stroud. Throwing it deep. And it's knocked away by a mere speed. 4th and 3 for Ohio State. Will they punt it here? They won't. They will keep their offense on the field. Back to pass. Got good protection to the outside. He's got a man. That looks like Marvin Harrison Jr., I believe it is. He gets ahead for the first. 1st and 10 for Ohio State. Stroud in the pistol. 3 receivers to his left. Minute 50 remains. Back to pass. Stroud's going to tuck it and run. He gets ahead for around 6. Clock is still running. Down to a minute 37 in this game. Stroud in the pistol set. Back to pass. He's got time. Has a man, but it's knocked away by a mere speed once more. He has been big for Georgia in their last 2 games. 3rd and 4 now for the Buckeyes. Back to pass. They send 4. He's got Marvin Harrison again. Breaks a tackle and gets ahead for the 1st down. A great 2nd effort from Marvin Harrison Jr. on just his 2nd reception of the game. 1st and 10 for Ohio State. Stroud, quick one across the middle. It's Olave for 7. Under a minute to go now. Stroud back to pass. Lofty one to the outside. That's going to be Jackson Smith and Jigba ahead for 6. And the 1st down for Ohio State. They use their 1st timeout. Stroud snaps it. Back to pass to the outside. And it's caught by Julian Fleming. 8-yard reception and out of bounds. Stops the clock for the Buckeyes. Nearing the red zone now is Ohio State. 45 seconds remain. Stroud throwing it to the outside again. He's got Jackson Smith and Jigba for 4. 1st down, out of bounds, stops the clock again. Long drive for Ohio State here. Back to pass is Stroud. He's got a wide open man. That's Olave again. He's ahead for 8. Another timeout taken for Ohio State. 35 seconds left as they have just 1 timeout remaining. Stroud looking for a man. He's got his tight end. Ahead for the 1st. That's Ruckert. 1st down, out of bounds, 31 seconds left. From the 12 now. The field is getting short for Ohio State. Stroud to the outside. He's got a man ahead for 9. That's Ekbuka going under center with just 18 seconds left. They spike the ball down. 3rd and 1 for Ohio State here. An absolute massive play right here. Power set for Ohio State. You got to think this is Henderson. It is. And he stiffs arms his way in for the touchdown. Ohio State takes a late lead, 40-38. And my voice just cracked.
Whoa, he has trouble with the snap. And the ball is free. It's picked up by Michigan State's Jalen Watts Jackson. And he scores on the last play of the game. Unbelievable.
16 seconds left. Can Ohio State make it a 3-point game? Nearly blocked, but it's good. 41-38 in favor of the Buckeyes. And I'm so glad I saved this one for the final game. This has been by far the best game so far today. Georgia will take it out of the end zone. And an alright return for McIntosh. He is hurt, but just 12 seconds left in this game. Georgia has all 3 timeouts to work with, but not a lot of time. Back to pass. He's just going to take off and run. He's got a lot of space. Slides down. Timeout, Georgia. Just 7 seconds left. Can they get into field goal range here? Need a pretty decent pass here to try to get in the field goal range. Motioning the tight end over. JT Daniels back to pass. Ohio State not sending much, just a short one to Bowers. Down, timeout for Georgia. 2 seconds left. This will be the last play of the game. Can they have a miracle happen here for the Dogs? JT Daniels back to pass. Under pressure, throws it up at the last second. It's caught. No, it's knocked away. Ohio State wins it 41-38 and will take the last spot in the Final Four to play the Alabama Crimson Tide. What a game. Players of the game: JT Daniels, 27 of 47, 339 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 84 yards on the ground. Quay Walker for Georgia, 5 tackles, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery. For Ohio State, Travion Henderson, 28 for 164, 3 touchdowns, and 17 receiving yards. Denzel Burke, 2 tackles, a fumble recovery, and a forced fumble. And what a game from these two teams as Ohio State moves on to take the last spot in the Final Four. And now your updated bracket. Bama beats Ole Miss to move on. Ohio State in a thriller moves on with a late touchdown to play Alabama in the Final Four. Michigan State dominates Kent State from start to finish to move on to the Final Four to play Notre Dame, who comes off a late touchdown as well over Iowa State to move on. And we now have the top seed Alabama Crimson Tide playing the second seeded Ohio State Buckeyes, and then the 3-seeded Michigan State Spartans taking on the second seeded Notre Dame Fighting Irish. You will see these two games and then the national championship in its entirety in the next videos. Starting off, Michigan State versus Notre Dame will be the first game, and then Alabama versus Ohio State will be the second game, and then a little bit later will be your national championship game. Thank you guys for watching this one. Hope to see you in the next one. Later.